and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. We've got a task on our hands today, guys, because I've recently picked up, over the month of August when I wasn't filming, 11 books from the library, including 3 I picked up yesterday, and they've all got a hell of a lot of reservations on them because they're either on the Booker Prize, they're brand new releases, they're just very popular. So I'm going to go through the 11 books because I put reservations on these ages ago and I've sort of forgotten what they're all about, and I was wondering if you can help me in the comments below and tell me which ones I should maybe prioritise, because like I said, I don't think I'm going to get all of these done before they have to go back because of the amount of reservations on them. Now I have already started one and we'll start with that one. Here's the big pile, by the way. All hardbacks, which isn't my favourite medium of reading. Anyway, the one I've already started is Seascraper by Benjamin Wood. I started this because I went to the library to pick it up yesterday with my niece, and it was so lovely and quiet in there, and it was just me and my niece in there. There'd been other people in there when we first got in there, but at this point it was just me and my niece in there. And her method of picking books, and she told me that she wanted to get 7, was that she basically reads them and then decides whether or not she wants to take them back. So she's very quiet in there, just reading them, and I was like, well, every time I was offering her to help, I mean, I'm a booktuber, you'd think she'd want my help. She was like, I like to pick by myself. So I wasn't helping her. So I've just got a chance to sort of sit for half hour and read 34 pages of Seascraper by Benjamin Wood. What I can understand this is about so far is that we're following a young man called Thomas who has taken over his grandfather's business of sort of sea scraping, in order to get shrimps, and he takes them and sells them, and it's a dying business. He doesn't give you a time that it's set, but he's using a horse to do this. It sounds like it's very hard, cold, wet work, and at the point that I'm at, he's just got home after a really hard day, and there's a chap at his house with his mother asking him if he can film him for a new Hollywood movie that he would like to make, and he's offering him £100 for that. And from what I understand is that he normally makes about £2. He's just made £2 from this load of shrimp that he's just given one of the buyers, so that is a lot of money for him, and him and his mother have a lot of debts to pay. I'm really enjoying it. As soon as I started reading it, it felt to me like a Claire Keegan book. What is that book called? The Small Things Like These. Yeah, it felt to me like that. But yeah, it's a short little thing. I mean, I've only got 100 pages. Oh no, that's not quite true. It's 160 pages, so yeah, so I need help with which order I'm going to read these in, but this one is already being read, so enjoying that so far. Then I've got The Rest of Our Lives by Ben Markovitz, and this has been longlisted for the Booker Prize. And the blurb here says, when Tom Laywood's wife had an affair, he resolved to leave her as soon as his youngest daughter turned 18. 12 years later, while driving her to Pittsburgh to start university, he remembers his pact. He is also on the run from his own health issues and the fact that he's been put on leave at work after students complained about the politics of his law class, something he hasn't told his wife yet. So, after dropping Miriam off, he keeps driving with the vague plan of visiting people from his past. An old college friend, his ex-girlfriend, his brother, his son, en route maybe to his father's grave in California. Beautifully pitched, quietly exhilarating and moving, The Rest of Our Lives is a novel about family, marriage, and those moments which may come to define us. There we go. That's the next one. Then I've got The South by Natasha. Oh, by the way, all of these, like the front cover game of all of these are singing to me, because they're either really lovely, bright, bold colours like these two, or beautiful scenery like this one. Like they're all great. Yeah, so this is again another long listed for the Booker Prize, and it says here, it's a radiant novel of the longing that blooms between two boys over the course of one summer, about family, desire, and what we inherit. When his grandfather dies, a boy named Jay travels south with his family to the property he left them, a once flourishing farm that's fallen into disrepair. The trees are diseased, the fields parched from months of drought. Still, Jay's father Jack sends him out to work the land, or whatever land is left. Over the course of these hot, dense days, Jay finds himself drawn to Chun, The son of the farm's manager, different from him in every way except for one. Out in the fields and on the streets into town, the charge between the boys intensifies. Inside the house, the other family members confront their own regrets and begin to drift apart. Like the land around them, they are powerless to resist the global forces that threaten to render their lives obsolete. At once sweeping and intimate, The South is a story of what happens when private and public lives collide. It is the first in a quartet of novels that form Tashaw's powerful portrait of a family navigating a period of great change, a reimagined epic for our time. I want to get into a quartet of novels. I wonder if the rest are going to be called like The South, The North, The East, The West. I'd be up for it if that was the case. But yeah, so there we go. The next one. Then I've got Let the Bad Times Roll by Alice Slater. I loved Death of a Bookseller. I really, really loved it. It's one of my favourite books last year. Last year or the year before? Maybe the year before. But yeah, it was so compelling and fun to read. And I imagine this has got much of the same vibes. I don't actually know what it's about, so let's go. Everyone knows Daniel, but no one knows where he is. Daniel is missing. No one has seen or heard from him in weeks. Beside herself with worry, his sister Caroline hosts an intimate gathering in her London home to grill those who knew Daniel best. But there's a stranger at the table, an accomplished psychic who claims to have met Daniel in New Orleans. As doubt blooms, tempers fray, and secrets spill like cocktails in the rowdy French Quarter, how well do we really know the people we love, and what are they capable of doing? That sounds great! Then I've got The Expanded Earth by Mikey Please. God, this is heavy. I saw Lena recommend this recently, and I thought it sounded amazing. The blurb's quite long, so settle in, guys. Humankind has been reduced to the height of a handspan, a transformation that is both potentially lethal and exasperatingly inconvenient. On a remote coastal path, Giles awakes in his new body to discover a world reshaped and magnified into a place of astounding abundance and deadly peril. Desperate to reconnect with his loved ones, he seeks the help of fellow survivors, and together they embark on a quest across the altered landscape. But as their journey unfolds, the more the question persists, are they still truly human, or has their reduction in size marked the beginning of a descent into savagery, an evolution into something other? Elsewhere, 1 week earlier, Professor Elizabeth Goodwin makes a monumental discovery. God is alive and physically among us, but not in the form we've been taught to expect. As Goodwin prepares to make first contact with the omnipresent, ocean-spanning creature, forces conspire in the wings, and the spectre of imminent catastrophe inches closer and closer still. So it says, dark, witty and wildly ambitious. I agree, it sounds wildly ambitious. Mikey Please guides us into the expanded earth, a high-stakes adventure packed with jeopardy and life-affirming beauty. A story that ultimately celebrates the capacity of small things to affect great change. The first in a spellbinding trilogy, there we go. This beautifully illustrated debut novel marks the arrival of a new talent and perhaps a new genre, the world of the micropocalypse. Let's have a look at some of these illustrations. Does sound fun, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like something I would normally read, but it does sound super fun. So let's see how, if people think I should read that, but there we go. God, it's really heavy as well. Must be all that ink on those illustrations. Is that a thing? Who knows? Then I've got The Greatest Possible Good by Ben Brooks. This was recommended from my Sainsbury's magazine. I subscribe to the Sainsbury's food magazine every month. It's got lots of lovely recipes in there. In fact, while we were on holiday, I made a lovely courgette, dill and what else was in there? Some sort of nut pasta dish, and it was absolutely gorgeous. But anyway, within that magazine, they have a page of book recommendations, and I think because it was summer, they'd done a sort of like double spread, and this was one of the ones to read if you wanted to get really immersed in a family. And I thought, yeah, I do quite like getting immersed in a family. I've just seen it's got a Tim Key quote on the front, which says, Brooks is a frightening young talent. So here we go. This hilarious, thought-provoking new novel from the Somerset Maugham and Best British Book Award-winning Ben Brooks. Arthur Candlewick spends 3 days in a disused mineshaft with only his son's drug stash, a book on the concept of effective altruism, and a bottle of medium-priced Bordeaux for company. When he emerges, he has made the life-changing decision to become a good man. Deciding to sell the family timber business and give away his wealth to charity, Arthur's family becomes convinced that he's lost his mind. His university-bound daughter, Evangeline, wants to change the world, but perhaps not at the cost of her own privileged life. His son, Emil, good at maths and not much else, becomes more distant than ever. And his wife, Yara, who arrives at airports 4 hours early and fears that AI and climate change will leave her children unemployed, just wants the doctor to run another brain scan on her husband. Incisive, warm and irresistibly funny, The Greatest Possible Good asks fundamental questions about what it means to live a good life while introducing the world to one of the great families of contemporary literature. Da, 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 da. Then I've got The Other Wife by Jackie Thomas Kennedy with a quote by Kylie Reid on the front saying a Syrian beautiful book. Some of these, if they're not from the booker list and I haven't explained where else they might be from, my library, when I log on the 1st of each month, it tells you the books that are coming out that month, and I go through that list, and there's normally 30 on that list, and I go through that list and put reservations on some of them. So that's where the ones that I can't remember where I've seen them are getting reservations from. So that might be where this one is from. It says, Susan Zuzu Brayburn is almost 40. She has the life she's always dreamed of, a beautiful house, a child, a successful partner. But something between her and Agnes has been off for a long time, and she can't help but wonder what if. What if she had chosen to live with her father instead of her mother after their divorce, to pursue art over law, and most importantly to pursue her feelings for her male best friend from college, Cash, instead of marrying Agnes? When an unexpected loss takes her back to her hometown over a single wintry weekend, yes please, the questions in Zuzu's mind becomes too loud to ignore. She grapples with the choices she's made and the knowledge that she doesn't have infinite time to make changes. The Other Wife speaks to unfulfilled desires and the euphoric nostalgia that comes with the beginning of middle age. It's heartfelt and daring in its reckoning with the quest for joy. That sounds bloody great. That sounds very good. Still, I'll ask your opinions. This has been longlisted for the booker. This is The Land in Winter by Andrew Miller. I don't think I've ever read Andrew Miller before, but his name is very familiar to me. So let me have a look and see. The Optimist, One Morning Like a Bird, Pure, The Crossing, Now We Shall Be Entirely Free, and The Slow Worm Song. No, I don't know. So this is set in December 1962 in the West Country. In the darkness of an old asylum, a young man unscrews the lid from a bottle of sleeping pills. In the nearby village, loud car outside, two couples begin their day. Local doctor Eric Parry, mulling secret, sets out his rounds while his pregnant wife sleeps in the warmth of their cottage. Across the field, in a farmhouse impossible to heat, funny, troubled Rita Simmons is also asleep, her head full of images of past lives her husband prefers to ignore. He's been up for hours, tending to the needs of the small dairy farm he bought, a place where he hoped to create a new version of himself, a project that's already faltering. There is affection, if not always love, in both homes. These are marriages that still hold some promise. But when the ordinary coast of an English December gives way to violent blizzards, a true winter, the harshest in living memory, the two couples find their lives beginning to unravel. Where do you hide when you can't leave home, and where in a frozen world can you run to? That's two books that are set sort of like wintry, and I'd love to read them in a winter setting, but I am restricted by that because of the amount of reservations on these books. So The Other Wife and The Land in Winter, I'd love to hang on to those, to read those in the winter. If it so happens that I can, then I will. But yeah. There we go. Then I've got The Parallel Path, which is the only non-fiction book in this whole pile. This is by Jen Ashworth, who is a fiction writer. This is a non-fiction book of love, grit and walk in the north. And I heard about this on Simon's channel. I have got very much into walking this year. Sadly, we've taken a walking hiatus. We thought we were going to take a walking hiatus because of the hot weather, but also David broke his foot at the beginning of the summer whilst dancing at a wedding, so we haven't been able to go and do our lovely Friday walks or our weekend walks that we've been doing. So we will be getting back to those once he's been back to the doctor for the second time, for the second X-ray, to see how he's third X-ray, sorry, to see how he's getting on. But yeah, this is, I've got a lot of books out from the library. I'm signalling down there because that's where they are, about walking, and haven't read any of them, so I think I will kickstart with this. Burnt out and longing for an escape, Jen Ashworth emerged from lockdown with a compulsive need to walk and to walk away. Armed with little more than the knowledge imparted by a 2-day orienteering course and a set of maps, she embarks on the most epic of English walks, Wainwright's Coast to Coast. Guided not just by Wainwright's writing, but also by daily letters from her friend Clive, facing an epic journey of his own, Jen's pilgrimage soon becomes more of just walking, a chance to reconnect and excavate, to re-engage with the act of caring for others and for oneself. But the walk's tricky terrain is not the only thing standing in Jen's way. As days go by, her balance begins to fail her, and the act of putting one foot in front of the other becomes a new exercise in caution. When a vicious heatwave forces her to pause her expedition and gives her an opportunity to investigate the new limitations of her body, Jen is confronted with a life-altering diagnosis and a new path of self-discovery. I'm very much looking forward to reading that. Very much. Right, then I've got Universality by Natasha Brown. This is where I think I might be going next, unless people tell me otherwise. This has got the most reservations on it, and I can already, it feels like it's been bashed about a little bit, so it's been got out a few times, but it looks as though it's only been got out once. It's only 156 pages, and the font is quite not, well, there we go, that sort of thing. And this is on the Booker long list. Remember, words are your weapons, they're your tools, your currency. Late one night on a Yorkshire farm, a man is brutally bludgeoned with a solid gold bar. A plucky young journalist sets out to uncover the truth surrounding the attack, connecting the dots between a banker landlord, an iconoclastic columnist, and a radical anarchist movement. She solves the mystery, but her viral long-read expose raises more questions than it answers. Universality is a twisty, slippery descent into the rhetoric of truth and power. Through a voyeuristic lens, it focuses on words, what we say, how we say it, and what we really mean. So yeah, I think I'm going to go to this one next. In fact, this video might not even be up until after I have started this, but do still let me know down below which ones you think I should read. And I've got one more left, and that's The Phoenix Pencil Company by Alison King. And I remember this was a complete sort of cover. I was drawn to it because of the cover, because this appeared on the books that are published in August section. So it says here, Monica Sy spends most of her days on the computer coding for a program that seeks to connect strangers online. A self-confessed recluse, she finds herself escaping into a digital world, counting the days until she can return home to her beloved grandparents. They are now in their 90s, and Monica worries about them, especially her grandmother, Yun, whose memory has begun to fade. Monica has become intent on tracking down her grandmother's long-lost cousin, Meng, before it's too late. In her search, Monica connects with a young woman archivist who presents her with a single pencil that holds a clue to a hidden family history. Through it, Monica comes to learn of her grandmother's years in Shanghai, working at the Phoenix Pencil Company. As World War II raged outside their doors, Yun and Meng came into a unique power the women in their family possess, the ability to reclaim stories from the pencils they were written with. But when government officials uncover their secret ability, they were both forced into a life of espionage, betraying other people's stories to survive. This sounds good. These shocking discoveries set Monica on a path that will change all their lives in a way she can scarcely imagine. At once a sweeping family epic and an uplifting love story with a deep emotional resonance, Alison King's brilliantly inventive debut novel pushes us to question how well we really know our own stories and the many beguiling ways they can connect our lives. That sounds great. This is a debut as well. Well, there we go. Well, so 10 books to pick from, because like I said, I've already started Seascraper. So do let me know down below which of these you suggest that I go to first. Like I said, I think by the time you are watching this, I will probably be reading Universality, but I still want to hear from you if you think Universality is a great read. But yeah, out of all of these, she can't even pick them up. Do let me know what of these you think would be best to go to, and I will list them all down below if you have forgotten what I was talking about 17 minutes ago. But yeah, looking forward to hearing from you in the comments, and yeah, see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye!